Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Tuesdays here on Northwest Digital News. I'm Kevin Hunter here from the broadcast studio. Seated left to right on your viewing window, we have Harry Brelsford joining us from SMB Nation. Yeah, there you go. He has his Indian news hat on today. All right.
There we go.
Yeah. And, of course, Kyle Torgerson here in studio making all the tech stuff happen. So we're going to talk about some gifts and gadgets for your techie friends, some of the mind-blowing techie gadgets that are available out there for people to consider. One of the ones I want to start with at the top, and by the way, for our viewing audience, some of these are available at mysmartgadgets.com. So the first one I wanted to visit about is the device called Fixed. And Fixed is actually a device that I've tried and used in my own household. Two of the vehicles I used it on actually worked quite well. And you know, as a lot of people know, you can spend a lot of money at a shop running the same thing. Well, it gives you a little diagnostics report.
Yeah, this is interesting because I know one of your primary niches is automotive, and I respect that, and I've looked over your work. So when you speak, people listen. I'm just sort of I'm a little bit of a car guy. I still, you know, fancy myself I can change oil on a Ford Ranger truck, but at a 96 Ford Ranger at that. But boy, howdy, the latest car we bought. I mean, Kevin, you're the man, but these things are computers now, man.
Well, you know, probably the most practical thing out of this device Fixed might be is when a check engine light comes on in a vehicle. A lot of people have no clue if that's an emergency they should be going to a shop with right now, or if it's something that's actually just a maintenance item that's popping up, because check engine lights come on for either. And what Fixed device actually does is you plug this into the little port, and you see in the graphic there on the window, it's right underneath the dash. So you plug it in right there. Every vehicle has it in the same spot, and the device will tell you if it's just a maintenance item or if it's something that you need to shut the vehicle off immediately and get it towed. So it's kind of a handy little piece to have, and the app downloads on your phone, and it can tell you at no cost to you once you've bought the device, you know, what's wrong.
How much this costs?
I believe it's right around $50 or $60.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling down because it looks like something I'd like to buy. Well, count me in. I am literally putting a star. I'm going to buy that today.
Let's visit about another item that's showing up on this. Kyle actually has one of his friends that have this. This is on the smartgadgets.com. This is the Heat Buddy. And this heater, as I understand, works great.
Oh, yeah, it's honestly beautiful. Now, my friend lives in, I wouldn't say an old home, but it's not so new. So the heating's not that great, but when you wake up early, you have to use the bathroom. The bathroom is just ice cold. It's not fun, but he has one of those in the room, and the bathroom's quite small, but it just heats up the room perfectly. It's so nice. And the best part about it is you can take that out and just put it in any single room. You're moving over to the kitchen, plug it right into the kitchen. You're moving over to the dining room, put it right into the dining room.
You know, for that desk secretary who was always complaining it's cold in the office, they don't have enough heat, this would be a great little heater to put under the desk.
Yeah, that's Jenny on my side. That's absolutely right. She would have a space heater underneath her business desk.
Yeah.
You need power to power it, so you have to plug it in, so it's not portable. But, okay. I mean, it is still portable. And the cool part about it is you can even have it going on just 24/7, and you can change as you can see, there's plus and minuses, so you can set the temperature. So like, okay, I want it to turn off when it's 70, or the speed, or even the timer. So it's perfect.
Here's something that you could do with it, though, Harry, is you could get one of those little power adapters you plug into your cigarette lighter if you wanted to use it in the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah,
and those actually work very well for devices like this.
There we go.
Let's visit about the Energix charger. You also have experience with another similar product to this, so I'll give you an opportunity to mention that. The device claims to fix your phone's battery life. I have friends that have used this, and here's really kind of the benefit they've reported is that, you know, as their phone got a little bit older, and these days, you know, if you got a phone that's, you know, 6 months or a year old, it's already an old phone, right? And and it seems like your battery's not really holding a charge. This device seems to do a good job of bringing back some of that original expectation you have for your phone staying charged all day long on a charge.
No, and I'm glad you explained that to me. So that is interesting that it's like resetting muscle memory for a lithium battery. The example I was going to share with you, Chargeify, is a different example. So Chargeify, and forgive me, I'm glad you walked me through this. Chargeify would be a charging round like this.
Yep.
And the idea is that you would put these rounds in a coffee shop, a bar, a restaurant, a sporting event, a mall. A lot of times they'll be branded with a sponsor logo. So you could say the Chargeify brought to you by T-Mobile. And as you know, T-Mobile with the pink color, very distinctive brand, right? Very distinctive look.
Correct.
And they would get an impression, but more importantly, other than just a charging station, which is not that rare, it gives the analytics. And so they kind of position this thing as an Internet of Things thing. And the idea is that the stadium could understand where traffic is, right? They could model out traffic and how long the person was there. We're going to know they were there 23 minutes. We're going to know where they were at. And you see where I'm going with that is you can do some very interesting traffic planning. And I'll tell you, somewhere that needs it is airports, right? How many times are you looking for a electrical plug-in at an airport and they don't have it? And then some wise bars and restaurants have those millennial tables where you can go sit and charge up. The data's worth the investment alone, and Chargeify. So, quite frankly, they're complementary, right? I mean, Interject would be wise to think about commercial applications for this beyond just the consumer with muscle memory reset, right? They would go hand in hand.
Correct.
So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
Let's move down to another device that is supposed to give a super boost to Wi-Fi. With the size that some homes are and even the different kinds of construction materials that are in them, sometimes setting up a single Wi-Fi router or like a router in your home somewhere doesn't really get the signal around. These Wi-Fi boosters or Wi-Fi repeaters can actually be pretty effective for making that happen. And I've used them myself, had very good luck with them.
And for new listeners, I come from the server side, the cloud side, what we call managed services provider side or reseller partners. And what we're seeing on our side is this kind of mesh technology is becoming more prevalent because, yeah, you had hot and cold spots in your large house, or, maybe you had a mother-in-law house across the driveway. And so this is a different Wi-Fi paradigm. And you're seeing like Cisco Meraki. So Cisco acquired a company called Meraki to roll this out commercially. A relatively simple example of this, and I would encourage people to look at SuperBoost Wi-Fi, of course, but a fairly simple application of this is available from Comcast. So they have some little mesh plugins, such as you see on the screen. I'm assuming Comcast will charge you a monthly rental fee for them or something.
They usually do.
But great paradigm. Worth a double click for the viewers today.
Let's move down to number 15. This is the Skylink HD TV antenna, and billed as grab free TV and do it legally. I actually know a few friends that have done this, cut the cable, so to speak, to the wall and ditch the cable TV companies. I'm actually not a regular subscriber to cable TV at all myself, so this wouldn't necessarily be a benefit for me. But my friends who have done this say that it works actually quite well. And for anybody who's thinking about potentially getting this, might want to think about getting it soon, because there is the expectation that cable companies will lobby Congress to get rid of this. So there you go.
Yeah, my contribution here is I've played around with some of these HD TV antennas to varying success. So I'm assuming if number 15 Skylink made the list, perhaps it's a better performer than the cheapies that I bought, and you're kind of trying to point them south, and you got to kind of play with them. But here's my application on this: is it's not so much that I want to cut the cords to Comcast because I enjoy TV, but it's more when we have power outages out here in the rural Kitsap County area outside Bainbridge, and I have a generator, right? But the one thing that goes down in a power outage, of course, is the Comcast central office, or CO, goes down. So you don't have Comcast, you don't have Wi-Fi.
Right.
Back in the day, I could still get DirecTV before I cut over to Comcast, because DirecTV just needed basic power, right, from the generator, because it's a dish. But this is where I've used this type of antenna. And, we are coming up upon the season of power outages. It never fails. Holiday week, when you're trying to give the turkey the hot foot on Bainbridge Island, the power goes out.
Good note about that, because in the Pacific Northwest, the months of December, January, February, half of the rainfall and the storms, that's when they all come.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean, it's going to happen. We're going to have a power outage, and then with the HDTV over the air, you can get basic stations. It's fine, basic stations. But what the heck? But good call, Kevin. Good for people to have one of these in reserve, even if you're going to not cut the cable.
there you go. Well, let's jump over to Samsung and let's talk about the Frame TV.
Yeah. So this was actually a friend of mine recommended this. As I was putting together my geek toy list, I reached out to some geeks, and I have a couple of examples. And so a fellow computer guy, Charles Keating, not from the savings and loan fame. He's reminded daily he has the same name as a generation ago, but different, no relation. And he suggested that this is on his list to basically have a thin screen framed up, for lack of a better word, framed up almost like a piece of art. And it's a TV. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know what the price is. I am assuming this is not complimentary.
Definitely not complimentary.
But made my list. Guys, this is almost like for the guy the guy or gal. I won't be gender specific, but this is for the person that has everything.
All right, I'm going to take you over to playpiper.com. So that's our next link here. And I absolutely love this little do-it-yourself, build a computer from scratch. These kits are really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, let's take a second to set the table for this conversation, history and future. And so the history would be, everybody has a story, right? And they're interesting. So my story, simply stated, is, and I'm going to offer fourth grade, for whatever reason, in Anchorage, Alaska, across the street, this guy got me involved with a ham radio. And I passed the Morse code test and was a ham radio operator. In Alaska, that actually made sense, right?
Okay.
Because you needed a ham radio.
And tell you that my father was also a ham radio operator and communicated with ship admirals as far away as Japan on ham radio. Did that regularly back in the 70s and 80s. So very cool.
Right, and Morse code. I mean, kids today don't even know what Morse code is, but you actually had to use it for ship communications and so on. Well, and so then the next stage would be Heathkits at Radio Shack. And again, kids aren't going to understand A, what Radio Shack is, and B, what Heathkits are.
Yes.
But you had the whole Heathkit crowd where you could build electro thingy. It was engineering training. Fast forward the movie, and that's what we're doing with these Pi Raspberry kits. And so this is the Piper computer kit. And you're right. The paradigm they're establishing is for kids, right? And this is where legends are made, right? The thousand bulbs of light. There's that one light bulb out there, right?
Yeah.
And the other reason I'm excited about this is we'll talk in a future show, but we're coming right up on Hour of Code. And early mid-December at schools, 1 hour at schools, volunteers needed. But guys, this is what we're talking about, right? Is the Hour of Code is equivalent to this to the Play Piper kit, because not everybody's a coder, present company included. I'm not a coder. I'm an infrastructure guy. I could probably build this Raspberry Pi PC.
There you go, and everything is in the kit. It says here, the Piper Computer Kit is the ultimate DIY computer building experience for kids, recommended for kids between ages 7 and 13. Everything your child needs is in the box to build a real computer from start to finish while playing a Minecraft PI Edition video game they love.
Honestly, this, even if you're, like, let's say your grandparent or a father or a mother or just any relative that has a younger, generation in your family, totally just get this for your kid or for a family member, because this is such, like, eye-opening because, like, technology now, it's kind of important to know about computers and to know about some basic coding. This teaches you how to code, and it teaches you how to build a computer, and not only that, you get to play on it, and that's so cool.
So, Harry, let me summarize and translate everything Kyle just said to a question. Can I get one? That's what he wants to know.
Honestly, I would love one. This one's really cool.
It says shop now. I know the Raspberry Pi kits are relatively inexpensive. That's what this is based on.
$149, it says.
A lot of listeners can go plunk down $250. Okay, I mean, it's not in everybody's budget today, but for Christmas, this is in the zone, right? This is in the zone of affordability.
Steve Wozniak says, I love the Piper computer because it represents what technology enabled me to do with my life.
That's exactly right. I've created a 30-plus year career in technology in Seattle. For me, it was the right decision. I can only speak for myself, but it was I'm not a doctor and I'm not a lawyer, but for me, it was the right decision. And guys, I don't know if I can trace it back to the ham radio. I mean, the ham radio in third grade didn't hurt. Got me thinking.
That's right. And look where it led to now.
Look at that. I'm wearing a baseball cap and a festive shirt on a Tuesday in the Seattle area.
Well, let's move over to Sonos, the wireless speaker, which has incorporated, as Kyle says, it's really cool because it has Alexa built right in.
I am an Alexa fanboy. I love Alexa. I love how they just keep adding to Alexa, so there's new things to play with. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and again, this was recommended to me. I reached out to my SMB Nation community for a few recommendations for toys, and this was one that came back. And I know my brother has purchased Sonos and uses it to supplement the Alexa experience, has been my observation. And Kyle, just as an aside, to kind of double down on the Alexa experience, I have a funny story. Downstairs, I have the Echo, and I listen to music. And my youngest son has come home for Thanksgiving week for the holiday week, and mysteriously, somehow the Alexa had been unplugged and fallen to the floor. And I don't know if it was the handyman that came in the other day or my son. I have two suspects as to how it fell. And the top where you turn volume on top of your Echo tube is sticky. And here's my point, is that yes, there was some damage, and you really have to kind of crank the volume, but it really made me revisit, Kyle, voice command. Because if my volume was sticky on top, now all I have is voice to run the darn thing. Like Alexa volume 5, okay? So I just share that as sort of tales from the trenches, but people and my brother have talked about the Sonos. I guess it's my understanding, gentlemen, if you have more experience with this solution, but it's my experience, my understanding is that this has superior sound quality. That's its asset. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And even in a venue, which is actually quite large, it was a ballroom that somebody brought one of these into one evening when a bunch of us were getting together, and it was Later in the evening, the event was over. People were cleared out. It was empty, and they brought in this little speaker and let it rip. And I was just like, "Holy cow! That thing is like you would expect it to be like 4 or 5 times larger than what it is for the quality of sound coming out of it. It was really exceptional."
Well, let's maybe talk about that. It's the last contribution I have, but in college, when knights were bold and kings owned the gold, and I worked summers on the pipeline, I took my shekels and bought Klipsch speakers, so a well-respected brand and sound, Klipsch horns and Klipsch horns, and they're now in mini storage because many years have passed. But it's the old Wi-Fi setup, and my 2 children do not want these wonderful, amazing, braggadocious speakers. Because that's not how kids roll in college. They don't want the big speakers. They probably want what we see on the screen, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And then, of course, they can take it around and show it to their friends and say, "Look at this. I got the latest and greatest in a techie speaker device, and check this thing out." Blow people away.
Honestly, now that Sonos is making speakers that have Alexa, my Alexa at home, I have the first model, first gen, and it's not doing so great with speaker quality. And
they do kind of wear out. I had one die. That's actually a valid point.
Yeah, to be fair, I take mine everywhere. Whenever I go to my friend's house, I plug it right in. We listen to music. And I love music. I'm a music guy. And now that Sonos is making speakers that have Alexa in it, this is a dream come true.
He also has it on loud enough to rattle the pictures off the walls and stuff like that. So you have to.
To be fair,
you have to expect some short life.
Hey, you're the guy with the headphones on. I'm not arguing with you when it comes to music.
All right, well, that's going to be a wrap here on Tech Tuesday. Thanks as always, Harry Brelsford, SMB Nation, joining us here on Tech Tuesday. Thanks to everybody who joined us on all the different social media platforms that we broadcast to here on Northwest Digital News. And again, we'll put all of those links from the 19 mind-blowing tech gadgets, the Frame TV, the Piper computer, and of course the Sonos devices. We'll put those links in the below the show here. Thanks again to everybody who joined us on the broadcast. From left to right, Harry Brelsford from SMB Nation, Kevin Hunter, and Kyle Torgerson here on Northwest Digital News. Till next time.